Speaking of growing, one thing I heard you say years ago is that one of the best things Facebook had done was invent the idea of a growth group. And so this is something now that I've heard a lot of founders ask about. Could you tell us, is that still something you recommend people running companies put in place, and how Facebook's worked in the early days?
So making it so we could grow faster was, I think, the most important product feature that we ended up building for Facebook. And, the traditional approach to growing and marketing is, you have a communications group or you have a marketing team and you buy ads. And, I think that there's sometimes there's a place for that, especially when you're trying to communicate something and get a message out. But if you're actually trying to grow a product, I think often the best levers for doing that are within the product themselves, and getting people in your community who enjoy what you're doing to evangelize that to their friends and getting that to happen efficiently as possible. So, there's no magic in the growth group that we built that other people can't replicate. It's just being very rigorous with data, investing in data infrastructure, so that way you can process all these different experiments and learn what people are trying to tell you, and then go invest in engineering and actually trying to grow the community, because I think that's the most important feature for a lot of networks. So we have this 10-year roadmap.
Yeah, that's great.
3 of the big changes that we want to see in the world. And we're focused on 3 things. Connectivity, right? So getting everyone in the world on the internet. Right now, more than half the world is not on the internet, which is, I think a lot of people in Silicon Valley probably take this for granted, right? The internet, because, it just is not uniformly available. And if we want to solve a lot of the big challenges of the world today, they're not problems that any one group of people or even one country can solve, right? They really involve coming together and giving everyone an opportunity to participate in solving them. So I think connecting everyone is really a key thing, which is going to be great for people around the world. The next one is AI. I think that's just going to unlock so much potential in so many different domains. And we use it at Facebook for a lot of different things, for showing people content that they're going to find more meaningful, for making sure that you connect with the people you actually care about on the service. But in a lot of ways, the work that we're doing on AI to push the fundamental, state-of-the-art forward is exactly the same stuff that's going into systems that diagnose diseases better, right? Or find better drugs to treat people, or that other companies are using when they build self-driving cars. And these are things that are going to save lives, right? I mean, if you can, I heard this story recently that at this conference where someone has built a machine learning application where you can take a picture of a lesion on someone's skin, and it can detect instantly whether it's skin cancer with the accuracy of the best dermatologists and doctors in the world. So, who doesn't want that, right? I mean, now, you're going to be able to put the power in your doctor's hand to become the best doctor in the world at that thing. Everyone will be the best doctor in the world. And that's a really fundamental thing, right? That, I get a little bit frustrated, I think, when people, fear-monger about AI and how it could end up hurting people. Because I think in many real ways around diseases, around driving more safely, this is going to save people's lives and push people forward. So that's a really big deal, I think, for the next 10 years.
Welcome to How to Build the Future. Today our guest is Mark Zuckerberg. Mark, you've built one of the most influential companies in the history of the world, so we are especially excited that you are here.
I'm not sure where to go from there.
Well, why don't we start with just the early days of Facebook? Tell us what it was like when you started it.
Sure. So for me, the thing that I was really fascinated by, and always have been, is people, right, and how people work. When I was in college, I studied psychology and computer science. And, one of the things that you learn when you study psychology is that there are all these parts of the brain which are geared just towards understanding people, right? Understanding language, how to communicate with each other, understanding facial expressions, emotions, processing. Yet when I looked out at the internet, right, in 2004, which is when I was getting started, you can find almost anything else that you wanted, right? You could find news, movies, music, reference materials. But the thing that mattered the most to people, which was other people and understanding what's going on with them, just wasn't there, right? And I think what was going on was that all that other content was just out there, able to be indexed by, search engines and other services, but in order to understand what's going on with people, you needed to build tools that made it so that they could express what was going on with themselves. I wanted to figure out what courses to take, so I built this little website course match that that just made it so that you could enter what courses you were taking, and you could click on them and see who else was in them, and it did all these correlations. So it told you people who took this course were likely to enjoy this course too. And the thing that just struck me from the beginning is, people would just spend hours clicking through here are the courses that people are taking, and wow, isn't it interesting that this person is interested in these things? And it was just text, right? There's nothing that was super interesting there, but that just struck me as, people have this deep thirst to understand what's going on with those around them. And, there were probably, 10 other things like that I built when I was at Harvard before I actually got around to building the first version of Facebook that kind of added a lot of these things together.